I wish I could reach the remote. Got it. I wish I was watching.
Soundboard.
I think music is a currency. It's like a language we speak. It's a currency, the things we trade. It's a soundtrack. It's like, it inspires people. That's important. That's an important part of the world. And so
I think every city has a sweaty venue that the youth has found as a place of solace. Austin definitely has many, or used to, some that are still here, most that are no longer. And that's what this video is going to be about, just kind of going over some venues that I never got a chance to go to, but that are very iconic and hold a very special piece of history in Texas music. But before we get into those venues, of course, we have to go backwards in time. Armadillo World Headquarters opened in August of 1970 and closed its doors on December 31st of 1980. Eric Wilson stumbled upon an abandoned building downtown, and after Vulcan Gas Company closed, another iconic venue in Austin during the 1960s, Eddie had hopes of turning this abandoned National Guard armory into a music hall, despite its rundown appearance.
McCallum High School years before, I knew there's got to be one large room behind that wall. I went around and managed to jimmy a lock on a closed-up, old industrial-looking place, and went in and discovered a place that looked like Noah's Ark turned upside down. It was huge, no columns in it, big high ceiling, a stage raised on one end. It was perfect.
There was a unique blend of country and rock music being performed at this music hall that gave birth to what we would know as the Austin sound. And artists that helped define the cosmic cowboy genre were Willie Nelson, Frank Zappa, Waylon Jennings, Stevie Ray Vaughan, ZZ Top, Freddie King, and many, many others.
Willie Nelson and the other singers and bands playing what's sometimes called the Austin sound. The music that's attracting all this attention is a mixture of traditional country western and contemporary rock and roll, a blend that Willie Nelson and others say had to happen eventually because of Austin's unique audience.
In reference to Austin and its sense of place, author Joshua Long writes in his book, Weird City, perhaps the real significance of the Armadillo was its ability to bring together the two dominant cultural groups that comprise the apparent dichotomy of Austin's cultural landscape. On one side of the divide was a white conservative cowboy, independence customarily embraced as traditional Texas. On the other side of the dichotomy was a progressive, protest-happy bohemianism appearing everywhere from UT campus to the grassy knolls of Zilker Park.
I think the university has a lot to do with it. The young people are here. They're liberal-minded and themselves, and not have to worry, be uptight about anything. It's beautiful country, beautiful people, good weather, and for some reason the kids got turned on to country music.
Artists like Michael Priest, Juke, and many others joined Jim Franklin in creating the iconic poster art that visually captured the psychedelic spirit of the DIY music scene of the Armadillo World Headquarters and of Austin during the time. Artist Jim Franklin chose the Armadillo as the venue's mascot due to the hard exterior shell that mirrored the armory exterior of the venue. But despite the Armadillo's popularity and the buzz around it, it was hard to keep the doors open. The club filed for bankruptcy in 1977 and closed its doors in 1980. Due to its prime location in the rapid growing city, it was purchased for millions. The original structure of the Armadillo was demolished in 1981 and was replaced by a 13-story office building.
I think a lot of performers who were coming through Austin, to play in the Austin scene were mainly coming to play at Armadillo, and now they may not show up again, which is a shame.
And while the last sentiment rang true about these types of artists never returning to the Armadillo, maybe they would return to another venue. The music was changing along with the times, and even the Armadillo was seeing these changes with early showcases of the Talking Heads and the Clash. The Cosmic Cowboy Austin sound was speeding up, mirroring the sounds emerging from punk bands and scenes. And there would be a new venue on the block that would usher in this new wave of sound, declaring itself as another safe space. Well, maybe just space.
Alaman left with a balanced meal. The better you eat, the better you feel.
Before Mark Pratz and Jeanine Ward took over in the 90s, Esther Follies owner Shannon Sedgwick and Michael Shelton took over the former lumber yard in 1975. While scraping the paint off of the brick, they noticed the name Liberty Lunch was painted on the front of the building, which used to be a cafe in the 50s ran by a blind man named Harold Carlson. So the name stuck. Fast forward to 1981, when the Armadillo was demoed, Liberty bought beams of steel from the Armadillo to help build a roof. Also in 81, Mark Prats joined Louis Myers, who was also a founder of South by Southwest, to form Lunch Money Productions and began booking the shows. So Liberty Lunch was definitely known to be the spiritual little sibling of Armadillo World Headquarters. It was another Austin mecca of bands that came to play formative sets and that also held a huge piece of Texas music history. And of course, I have to quote my boy Michael Corcoran from his substack about Liberty Lunch. By the late 80s, the 1100 capacity lunch was the perfect launching pad for breakout bands like Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Green Day, Oasis, Foo Fighters, Beck, Pavement, and Alanis Morissette. Too big for the Continental Club, which Liberty also booked. You'd see Katie Lang when she was a rockabilly singer, and then the next night would be Black Flag, and then the Count Basie Orchestra. In 1985, MTV came to film an Austin segment for its show The Cutting Edge, and Daniel Johnston was seen recording playing his first set at Liberty Lunch. By the 90s, the bookings were totally dialed in, and the venue saw some of its most iconic performances, from Fugazi to Sunny Day Real Estate to Joel to Ween. Yes, I'm naming a few of my own favorites and being biased, but yeah, let's go down memory lane and visit Liberty Lunch during the 90s.
There's a lot of you here.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Last time we were forced to skip Austin, and that was a bad move.
Well, that's the difference between being an all-female band and a band with guys is the all-female band that I was in attracted a lot of really gross GBGs, which are girl band geeks.
Anyway, I wrote him a song. Hope he hears it one day, motherfucker. Would you like to ram your tongue down my throat?
And of course, I have to mention the triple threat booking of My Bloody Valentine, Dinosaur Jr., and Babes of Toyland in February of '92. In 1998, Austin City Council voted to end the Lunch's lease and rent the land to a tech company. In December of that year, the Greg Doley incident happened, which involved the lead singer of a band being sent to the hospital with a fractured skull by a stagehand at Liberty Lunch. It garnered a lot of bad press, and some say it was the final nail in the coffin for the venue. But before Liberty Lunch closed its doors, there was one last hurrah to do a Gloria-thon swan song, pitched by Michael Hall. The whole Austin music scene showed up that day and did its thing. And around 3 p.m, Van Morrison's road manager held a phone up to Van Morrison's ear while he was playing a show in the UK. And while he didn't perform the song Gloria much anymore, he dedicated the song to a bunch of crazy people in Austin that were playing the song for 24 hours straight.
Big Dish Trio. All right, y'all can go ahead and hold this if you like.
And then Liberty Lunch was demolished and the new City Hall was built in its place. But it is just an interesting story in general about a sanctuary space that I guess was always in jeopardy of going away due to its location and insanely cheap rent, yet the owners still managed to keep the lights on and rent paid and bands coming through. Which leads me to Hole in the Wall. In 1974, on a handshake deal for the lease, Doug Cugini and his parents opened the space primarily as a restaurant serving chicken sandwiches, and with a few arcade games in the back, it was a far cry from an Austin iconic music venue. A few performers around the drag had pitched to play a few sets at Hole in the Wall, and while the owners were reluctant at first, allowed the performers to play sets for tips, and that soon turned into 6 nights of music booked a week. Bands like Shaky Graves, Spoon, Townes Van Zandt, Blaze Foley, Gary Clark Jr., Timbuk3 all played very early and intimate sets at the Hole. It was also known to have one of the most disgusting, gnarly bathrooms in all of Austin. So this iconic, disgusting bathroom was featured in a Spoon music video for the song Jealousy in 2000. And it's also been rumored that Courtney Love was giving hugs in this said disgusting bathroom the night before her South by Southwest keynote in 2002.
Film golfer, and Jeff Alma went up against Ticketmaster, and I was in no condition to help them.
Another piece of lore is that in 2020, Bob Dylan did a painting of the exterior of Hole in the Wall and replaced himself with Elvis. So Hole in the Wall, like the previous venues mentioned, has tons of lore behind it. Hole in the Wall turned 50 years old last year, and it was extended for another 20-year lease by the city, which rightfully lets Hole in the Wall stand on its own as a Texas music landmark. I think despite the city being called the live music capital of the world, Austin definitely had its heyday of live music from the 70s until the 90s, before the slogan was ever coined or used sort of as a marketing scheme. It feels like nothing stays historical for too long in Austin with all of these new builds and new developments around. And that's sad, and I think that kind of leaves people feeling like they're living in a ghost of what once was. Also, I know the audio on old VHS recordings is like kind of shitty and not something you want to watch or listen to for that long, but I don't know, maybe I just have an affinity again for that medium. But when I was watching all these old archival videos, I just couldn't help but still feel the energy and like the magic in those rooms despite watching it through a screen and it being 30 years later. I'm really just loving an excuse to go through this old archival and compile it in a way that is interesting to y'all. All of this just had me very inspired and had me thinking of all of the cool buildings around Austin downtown that have some cool history or a cool name underneath the brick that's just dying to be chipped away and danced in. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments if any of y'all have memories or fun stories from these times and venues in Austin. And thank you for watching and supporting my channel, and hopefully I will be a bit more consistent with my uploads in the future. But okay, thanks.